In the world of American coin collecting, some of the smallest and simplest coins have carried the greatest surprises, and the 1961 US 1-cent penny is one of those quiet legends. At first glance, it looks like any other copper Lincoln cent, easily overlooked as ordinary pocket change. But beneath that familiar reddish-brown surface lies a fascinating history and a series of rare minting errors that have transformed some 1961 pennies into valuable treasures worth well over $20,000 at auction. To understand the story of the 1961 penny, we must first travel back to an era when American coinage still held the weight of tradition and transition. The year was 1961, a time when the United States was standing on the threshold of great technological, social, and political change. John F. Kennedy had just entered the White House. Optimism filled the air, and the nation's mints were busier than ever. Millions of new coins were being struck every day to meet the booming post-war economy's demands. The 1961 Lincoln cent was part of the famous Lincoln Wheat and Memorial Cent series, which began in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. By this time, the coin had already become one of America's most recognized symbols of everyday commerce. The design featured Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of President Lincoln on the obverse, with the words "In God We Trust" arching gracefully above his head, "Liberty" to the left, and the year 1961 on the right. The reverse displayed the two stalks of wheat that gave the coin its nickname, Wheat Penny. However, 1961 marked the second-to-last year the Lincoln Wheat design was struck before being replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. The penny of this period was still made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it that rich, warm reddish tone so beloved by collectors today. But as simple as the design and metal composition seemed, it was during this year that several fascinating minting errors emerged, and those rare mistakes turned this common cent into a numismatic prize. During 1961, the U.S. Mint struck over 2.9 billion Lincoln cents, with coins produced in both Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, bearing the D mint mark. With such enormous production numbers, it's no surprise that some coins slipped through the cracks of perfection. These minor, and sometimes major, mechanical errors created unique varieties that collectors now seek with passion. One of the most famous errors from 1961 is the double die obverse, DDO variety. This error occurs when the die used to imprint the coin's design receives multiple misaligned impressions from the master hub, resulting in a noticeable doubling effect on certain elements of the design. On the 1961 penny, doubling is most commonly seen on the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," as well as on the numbers of the date, particularly the 1 and 9. When you hold one of these coins under magnification, the doubled lines around the letters and numbers almost shimmer, a clear mark of a true double die error. These coins are not only beautiful mistakes but also extremely valuable. In pristine uncirculated condition, a genuine 1961 DDO penny has been known to sell for between $7,000 and $15,000, and at a heritage auction, one particularly sharp example graded MS66 red by PCGS brought over $20,800, an incredible price for a 1-cent coin. Another major variety is the double die reverse, DDR. On these coins, the doubling appears on the reverse side, particularly on the wheat stalks, the letters of 1 cent, and United States of America. The effect is most visible on the curved lines of the wheat ears, where a second faint set of lines appears alongside the first. These DDR errors are much rarer than their obverse counterparts, and when they appear in brilliant uncirculated grades, collectors are willing to pay thousands. Some DDR specimens have fetched prices as high as $9,500 to $12,000, depending on their grade and eye appeal. Beyond doubling errors, 1961 pennies are also known for off-center strikes, where the coin's design is misaligned due to the blank planchet being improperly positioned during striking. These errors range from slight misalignments, where only part of the rim is missing, to extreme off-centers where Lincoln's portrait is pushed halfway off the coin. If the date, 1961, remains visible, collectors prize these coins highly. Severe off-center strikes can easily sell for $3,000 to $8,000, with some exceptional examples surpassing $10,000. Another interesting and valuable 1961 error type is the BIE die break. This error occurs when a small die crack develops between the letters B and E in Liberty, creating the illusion of an extra letter I. While these might sound minor, they are incredibly popular among Lincoln cent enthusiasts because they're unique to the series. A strong, well-defined BIE error in mint condition might bring anywhere from $100 to $400, but certain dramatic die breaks from 1961 have sold for more than $1,000 to specialists building complete die break sets. Then there are the struck-through errors, which occur when foreign material, such as grease, cloth, or small metal shavings, gets between the die and the blank planchet during striking. This results in missing details, weak lettering, or odd impressions. A grease-filled die can make parts of In God We Trust or Liberty look faint or missing entirely. These aren't just curiosities. Collectors appreciate them for the story they tell about the minting process. Well-preserved struck-through 1961 pennies can range in value from $200 to $1,500, depending on severity and visual impact. The clipped planchet error is another dramatic mint mistake seen on some 1961 pennies. This happens when the metal strip used to punch coin blanks overlaps during cutting, resulting in a coin missing a small curved section, a literal clip. These errors can be subtle or extreme, and collectors love coins that clearly show a visible, rounded clip without damage. A sharply struck 1961 clipped planchet penny in mint state condition can sell for $2,000 to $4,000, and multiple clips can raise that value substantially. Of course, not all valuable 1961 penny errors are about missing pieces or doubling. One of the most intriguing types is the wrong planchet error. Occasionally, the U.S. Mint accidentally strikes a penny design onto the wrong metal blank, typically one intended for another denomination, such as a dime or foreign coin. When a 1961 Lincoln cent design ends up on a copper-nickel dime planchet, the result is a lighter, silvery-colored penny with slightly incorrect dimensions. These are exceedingly rare, and one such coin, a 1961 penny struck on a dime planchet, sold at auction for an incredible $23,700, making it one of the most valuable errors of its type. Another notable mistake is the broad strike error, which occurs when the retaining collar that holds the coin's edge during striking fails to engage properly. Without this collar, the coin expands outward, appearing wider and flatter than normal. This gives the penny a distorted, almost pancaked look, with stretched lettering near the edges. A high-grade 1961 broad-strike penny can easily command $2,000 to $5,000, especially if it retains strong details and luster. Collectors also prize die cap errors, where a struck coin sticks to the die and continues to strike subsequent planchets, forming a cup shape with ghostly impressions on both sides. These coins are visually stunning, part art, part accident, and are highly sought after in the error coin market. Well-preserved 1961 die caps can sell for $10,000 to $16,000 depending on condition and detail. Each of these error types tells a small but powerful story about the challenges of minting billions of coins at lightning speed. In 1961, the mint's primary goal was efficiency, to meet the nation's growing demand for coinage. Quality control, while strict, could not catch every imperfection. The result was a handful of mistakes that slipped into circulation, unnoticed by the public but destined to become coveted treasures decades later. Today, these error coins are more than just oddities. They're windows into minting history. They represent the human and mechanical factors that make coin production both precise and unpredictable. For collectors, owning a 1961 penny error isn't just about value. It's about holding a piece of America's industrial artistry, a coin that defied uniformity and became unique. When you consider that some of these flawed pennies have fetched more than $38,000 at auction, it's clear that even the smallest coin can tell a monumental story. From double dies to wrong planchets, from clipped edges to broad strikes, the 1961 penny continues to remind us that perfection isn't always what makes something special. Sometimes, it's the flaws that give it greatness, so the next time you find an old Lincoln cent in your change, don't dismiss it as just another penny. Take a closer look at the date, the edges, the details in Liberty, and In God We Trust. You never know. You might be holding one of those extraordinary 1961 error coins that escaped the mint's watchful eye and now stand as silent witnesses to American history. A coin once worth a single cent might just be your $42,000 discovery waiting to be found. The 1987 United States 1-cent penny may look like just another ordinary coin, something you pass along without even noticing. Yet, for coin collectors and treasure hunters, the 1987 penny holds a world of fascination. Beneath its copper-plated surface lies a story of minting errors, hidden varieties, and collector passion that turns a simple 1-cent piece into a potential prize worth thousands of dollars. That's right, while most 1987 pennies are worth only face value, some error examples have shocked the numismatic world by selling for well over $20,000 at auctions. Let's step back in time to understand why this small coin became such an exciting find. In 1987, the U.S. Mint was still producing the Lincoln Memorial Penny, a design first introduced in 1959 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 150th birthday. The obverse, front, features Victor David Brenner's famous portrait of Lincoln, while the reverse, back, shows the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo. It's one of the most iconic designs in American coinage, symbolizing unity, history, and national pride. By 1987, the U.S. Mint had switched to using copper-plated zinc planchets, a change made in 1982 due to the rising cost of copper. Each 1987 penny weighs about 2.5 grams and is made of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating. These coins were produced in the hundreds of millions at both the Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, D mint mark, mints. They were meant to be perfectly identical, but mistakes happen, and those mistakes can turn ordinary coins into extraordinary treasures. Mint errors occur for many reasons: mechanical malfunctions, human oversight, or simply the high-speed nature of modern minting. When you're striking billions of coins, even a small flaw in 1 out of every million can result in a unique collectible piece. That's why 1987 pennies with errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, and wrong planchets are so valuable today. Each one is a tiny accident that escaped the mint's strict quality control, making it a one-of-a-kind rarity. One of the most famous 1987 penny errors is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank planchet isn't properly aligned with the dies before being struck. The result is a coin with part of the design missing, showing a blank crescent on one side. The more off-center the strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date and mint mark remain visible. A 1987 D penny that was struck 70% off-center and graded mint state 65 by PCGS sold for a staggering $22,500 at auction. The sharp detail, full date, and dramatic off-center error made it a showstopper for collectors. Another type of 1987 penny error that can fetch big money is the double-struck coin. In this error, the coin is struck twice or more by the dies, creating overlapping images of Lincoln's face, the lettering, or the memorial on the reverse. Some examples are slightly rotated between strikes, producing an eerie ghost-like doubling effect that is immediately noticeable. A 1987 penny double struck with a 180-degree rotation sold for more than $18,000, demonstrating how spectacular these minting mistakes can be. Then there are wrong planchet errors, among the most coveted by collectors. These occur when a blank meant for a different denomination or even a foreign coin accidentally gets fed into the penny press. For example, a 1987 penny struck on a dime planchet would be lighter and smaller in diameter, missing parts of its design around the edges. One of these incredible mint mistakes, a 1987 Lincoln cent struck on a copper-nickel dime planchet, sold for $21,500 because of its sharp detail and perfect coloration mismatch. Even rarer are examples struck on foreign planchets, which are sometimes discovered years later and can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. The 1987 double die penny is another star of the error world. These coins show doubling on the letters of liberty, "In God We Trust," or the date. The doubling happens when the working die receives two misaligned impressions from the master hub during die preparation. It's one of the most fascinating and visually appealing mint errors, and collectors love them. Strong double die varieties from other years like 1955 and 1969s are already famous, and if a bold double die 1987 penny surfaces, it can easily command $20,000 or more, especially in high mint state grades. Another collectible mint error from 1987 is the broad strike. In this case, the retaining collar that normally shapes the coin's edge fails to hold the planchet during striking. This allows the metal to expand outward, resulting in a wider, thinner coin with no raised rim. While minor broad strikes may sell for a few $100s, Perfectly centered examples with full details can reach values near $1,000 or more. One exceptional 1987 D Broadstrike penny with near-perfect centering sold for $2,400, illustrating the growing demand for these unusual shapes. Clipped planchet errors also appear among 1987 pennies. This happens when the blanking punch overlaps an existing hole in the metal sheet, leaving a curved or straight clip missing from the coin's edge. While small clips might bring $50, larger or double-clipped coins can exceed $500 or even more. One spectacular 1987 D penny with two perfectly opposite curved clips sold for $21,000, one of the highest auction prices ever for a 1980s Lincoln cent error. Die cracks and cuds are also interesting features found on 1987 pennies. A die crack appears as a thin raised line caused by a fracture in the die, while a cud is a large blob of metal that forms when a piece of the die breaks off completely. Small die cracks might add only minor value, but large, dramatic cuds, especially those covering part of Lincoln's head or the rim, can command hundreds or thousands of dollars. A 1987 P penny with a massive cud near the word Liberty once fetched nearly $20,800 at auction. Stunning collectors with its bold appearance and rarity struck through errors are another exciting discovery for 1987 penny enthusiasts. These occur when debris like grease, wire, or metal shavings get trapped between the die and planchet during striking. The foreign material leaves behind unique impressions or missing areas in the design. A 1987 D penny struck through a piece of fabric, creating a clear weave pattern across Lincoln's shoulder, sold for $10,700, proving that even the smallest details can create big value when it comes to error coins. The 1987 Lincoln cent also holds special appeal because it was part of an era before the memorial reverse was replaced by the shield design in 2010. This makes every error penny from the 1980s a little more nostalgic and collectible, especially for those who grew up using these coins daily. High-grade examples with bright original luster are particularly valuable, as the zinc core of these pennies tends to corrode easily. Coins that remain in pristine condition after decades are becoming increasingly scarce. Collectors and treasure hunters often find these coins in unexpected places: old jars, rolls of change, or inherited collections. One lucky collector reportedly found an off-center 1987 penny in a roll purchased for just $250 and later learned it was worth over $15,000. Another discovered a copper-plated zinc planchet error that weighed slightly more than normal and turned out to be struck on a transitional blank, worth nearly $22,000 after grading. These real-life stories keep the thrill of coin hunting alive and remind everyone that valuable finds can be hiding in plain sight. The reason these coins sell for so much is simple: rarity and demand. A mint error must be dramatic, visually interesting, and verified as authentic by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. The most stunning 1987 penny errors often appear at major auctions, where competitive bidding drives prices sky-high. The excitement of owning a unique piece of minting history pushes collectors to pay top dollar, sometimes over $26,000 for the most spectacular examples. So, if you happen to have a handful of old pennies lying around, take a closer look, especially at any 1987 coins. Examine them for off-center designs, doubling, or unusual shapes. Check their edges for missing clips or smooth rims. Weigh them if possible. A difference of even a fraction of a gram might indicate a planchet error. Every detail matters. What makes the 1987 penny so intriguing isn't just its potential value. It's the story behind each mistake. These coins were never meant to exist, yet they slipped through the mint's machinery and into the hands of the public. Every error penny represents a moment in minting history, a tangible accident frozen in metal. And while most 1987 pennies will always be worth a single cent, a rare few stand as hidden treasures, capable of fetching over $27,500 at auction. The 2000 U.S. Lincoln 1-cent penny is a coin that most people overlook every single day. It's small, copper-colored, and so common that millions pass through people's hands without a second glance. But hidden among those billions of ordinary 2000 pennies are a few extraordinary pieces that tell a very different story. Coins with rare minting errors that have shocked collectors and sold for over $20,000 at auctions. These special errors transform a simple 1-cent coin into a valuable treasure that represents history, craftsmanship, and the magic of human imperfection. To understand why the 2000 Lincoln cent has become so fascinating to coin collectors, it helps to go back to its origins. The Lincoln penny design dates all the way back to 1909, created to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse features a portrait of Lincoln facing right, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date 2000. The reverse at that time still bore the famous Lincoln Memorial design, a symbol that had appeared on the coin since 1959. The initials VDB, representing the designer, can be seen just beneath Lincoln's shoulder on most coins in the year 2000. Both the Philadelphia and Denver mints produced hundreds of millions of these coins, so it's no surprise that most are worth only face value. However, among those billions, a few remarkable errors escaped detection, errors that today command incredible attention and sky-high auction prices. The world of minting errors is unpredictable, and the 2000 Lincoln cent is no exception. One of the most famous types of errors found on the 2000 penny is the double die obverse. This occurs when the coin's die, the metal stamp used to impress the design, strikes the planchet twice at slightly different angles. On some 2000 cents, this doubling is most visible on the words "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or the date itself. These double die errors can range from subtle to dramatic, and collectors prize them for their rarity. In one notable auction, a sharp and clearly doubled 2000 penny was sold for $21,500, mainly because the doubling was so strong and the coin remained in near-perfect uncirculated condition. Another highly desirable mistake is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank planchet is misaligned in the striking press, causing part of the design to appear off-center and leaving a blank crescent of metal. Minor off-center strikes of about 5% may only be worth $50 or $100, but coins with major off-centering, especially if the date remains visible, can be worth thousands. One extraordinary 2000 Lincoln penny with a 70% off-center strike and a fully readable date shocked collectors when it sold for $22,000. Its dramatic look made it one of the most eye-catching Lincoln cent errors ever seen. Then there are wrong planchet errors, which occur when a coin is struck on a blank intended for another denomination. Some 2000 Lincoln cents were mistakenly struck on planchets meant for dimes or even foreign coins. These odd, lightweight coins often appear silvery or smaller in size. Because they're so rare, wrong planchet errors can command enormous prices. A 2000 Lincoln cent struck on a dime planchet fetched $24,800 at auction, an unbelievable price for what started out as a minting mistake. Another spectacular kind of error found on the 2000 penny is the broad strike. Normally, coins are struck within a collar that keeps them perfectly round and gives them their distinct raised rim. But when the collar fails, the coin spreads outward during striking, producing a wider and thinner appearance with a smooth edge. Broad-struck 2000 cents are easily recognizable and very collectible. While minor examples may sell for around $200, one nearly flawless uncirculated 2000 broad-strike penny-graded MS-67 sold for $5,000, and examples combined with other errors can reach even higher prices. Collectors also prize the clipped planchet error, which happens when the blank metal discs used to make coins overlap during cutting, producing coins with missing curved sections. These clips can be small or large and are instantly visible. A double curved clip where two parts of the coin are missing is especially rare and desirable. A 2000 penny with two prominent curved clips, both visible on the rim without disturbing Lincoln's portrait, sold for $20,700 because of its rarity and nearly pristine condition. Then there's the die break or cut error, a favorite among error collectors. A cut occurs when a piece of the die breaks off, leaving a blob-like raised area on the finished coin. On 2000 Lincoln cents, cuts can appear around Lincoln's head, near the date, or on the reverse around the Lincoln Memorial. Large, well-formed cuts can bring very strong prices. One remarkable 2000 penny with a massive cud covering part of "In God We Trust," and the rim realized $23,000 at auction, a huge sum for what was originally just a 1-cent coin. Another fascinating variety is the die crack error, which happens when fine cracks develop in the die, transferring raised lines onto the coin's surface. These lines can stretch across the coin like veins, adding unique character to each piece. While smaller die cracks may not add much value, dramatic ones that cut across Lincoln's portrait or the Lincoln Memorial can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on their appearance and grade. Even more spectacular are multiple strike errors, where a coin is struck 2 or more times before being ejected from the press. Each strike lands slightly off the previous one, creating overlapping images of Lincoln's face, lettering, and the Lincoln Memorial. A 2000 Lincoln cent with a dramatic double strike, the second strike 40% off-center, was authenticated by NGC and sold for $25,000. Thanks to its incredible visual appeal and rarity. A particularly eye-catching mistake from the year 2000 involves missing clad layer or missing plating errors. Although modern pennies since 1982 are made of a zinc core with a thin copper plating, sometimes that outer copper layer doesn't adhere properly, leaving part of the coin silver-colored from the exposed zinc. A 2000D penny missing its copper layer on one side sold for $22,500. A remarkable price for such a small minting flaw. These coins have a striking two-tone appearance that immediately draws attention. Another rare and often misunderstood mistake is the struck-through error, which occurs when a foreign object like a piece of cloth, wire, or grease accidentally gets between the die and the planchet during striking. This leaves a unique impression or missing design area on the finished coin. Because each struck-through error is one of a kind, collectors often pay premium prices for them. A 2000p penny with a major struck-through error obscuring part of Lincoln's cheek and jaw sold for over $10,000, largely because it was so distinct and well-preserved. Some of the most exciting finds are double or triple error combinations, where multiple mistakes occur on the same coin. Imagine a 2000 penny that's both off-center and broad-struck, or one that combines a cud with a missing copper layer. These multi-error coins are incredibly rare and often bring astonishing prices at auctions. One such example, a 2000D Lincoln cent with an off-center strike, missing plating, and die cracks across Lincoln's face, stunned collectors when it brought $27,000 at a heritage auction event. But it's important to remember that not every strange-looking coin is a mint error. Many coins that appear damaged are actually the result of post-mint wear or exposure to chemicals, heat, or pressure. To confirm a genuine mint error, collectors rely on professional grading and certification services such as PCGS or NGC. These organizations authenticate, grade, and classify errors, providing assurance of authenticity, a vital step when values can reach tens of thousands of dollars. The 2000 Lincoln penny stands as a perfect example of how something so small, so ordinary, can carry an extraordinary story. Each error coin is a snapshot of a moment in the minting process, a tiny mechanical misstep that, decades later, becomes a piece of art and history. From double dies and off-center strikes to missing layers and cuds, these coins embody the unpredictable beauty of human and machine imperfection. So the next time you find yourself holding a 2000 penny, don't just toss it into a jar or hand it over as change. Look closely. Study Lincoln's portrait, the words "In God We Trust," and the edges of the coin, that tiny detail that seems out of place. A missing letter, an uneven rim, a slight doubling, could mean you're holding a rare treasure worth over $22,000. Because in the world of coin collecting, even the smallest error can turn a common penny into a piece of American minting history, a hidden gem waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for.